Once upon a time, there was a couple who had been married for over 4 years without having a child. Odinica was a man who desperately wished to have children. For these 4 years, he made his wife's life a living hell. His wife, Anna, woke up each morning reminded of her inability to conceive a child. Her husband ridiculed her at every opportunity, and this was beginning to take a toll on her health. One morning, Odinica walked in on Anna while she was busy having breakfast, and his heart filled with anger as he watched her eat. "Look at how you are devouring the offspring of another. Your mates are having babies and you are here eating eggs that you cannot even lay," he said to her. Anna broke down in tears as she pushed her plate aside. She had lost her appetite. Her husband's words cut deep, but this was not the first time he had spoken cruelly to her. Her mind drifted back to a few weeks prior, to the day they returned from the hospital. She had undergone a series of fertility tests, hoping to find out if IVF was a possible option for her. But the doctors informed her that she had fibroids. Anna could not believe what she heard. She asked to know her fate, and the doctors told her she first needed to undergo an operation to remove the fibroid. They advised her that she had to do this before she could even consider an IVF procedure. Anna was heartbroken, knowing how unsupportive her husband had been all these years. "Do you think I am a money-making machine?" he said to Anna, who was pleading for some money for the fibroid operation. "Your mates are carrying babies in their wombs, while you are here carrying diseases," he said to her angrily, as he exited her life, declaring that she would earn her own income. His words resonated in her mind. Her heart ached, yet she was not shocked. Odinica had always been devoid of kindness during her hardships, and now, when she needed him the most, she was not astonished by his response. Resolving not to surrender, Anna dried her tears and set off to seek a solution. She accepted more minor jobs, laboring tirelessly from dawn until dusk. She laundered clothes, tidied homes, and even cared for a 2-year-old child whose mother passed away during childbirth, leaving the baby's father to provide for the infant alone. The baby's father, whose name was Jimmo, was a busy individual who lacked the time to tend to his baby himself. He entrusted Anna with his baby, relying on her to nurture and care for the child as if he were her own. Initially, it was challenging for Anna, holding and feeding another mother's baby while she yearned for her own. But gradually, the child's innocent laughter and tiny fingers grasping hers eased the ache in her heart. Jimmo observed how deeply she cherished the child. He frequently returned home to see Anna softly singing as she rocked the infant to sleep. "You possess the heart of a mother," he remarked one evening as he saw her wipe his baby's face with her gentle hand. Anna smiled wistfully as she uttered something that captured her boss's attention. "A mother without a child of her own," she murmured, while her boss Jimmo regarded her with a gaze of empathy. He had noticed the sorrow in her eyes, the silent suffering she bore daily. "You are a mother," he expressed gently. "A child is not solely birthed from the womb, but from affection and care, and I perceive that in you." His words filled her with warmth, but she understood that they wouldn't erase the pain she had endured. That evening, as she strolled back home, she felt lighter than she had in a very long time. For once, she had been acknowledged. Someone had finally recognized her, something her husband never had. Odinica never did, but as soon as she entered the door, she sensed trouble was waiting for her. Her husband, Odinica, was seated in the living room, his expression filled with fury. "Where are you coming from?" he asked, his tone filled with anger. "From work," Anna replied softly as she placed her bag on the table. Odinica scoffed and rose, towering over her. "Work? You mean from your lover's house?" Confused, Anna furrowed her brows and asked, "What are you talking about?" "Don't play dumb with me," he yelled. "I've heard the gossip. You think I don't know you spent all day at another man's home, caring for his child, laughing with him, and you expect me to believe nothing is happening between you?" Anna's chest constricted. She was too weary to argue, yet she couldn't allow him to accuse her of something she hadn't done. "Jimmo is my boss. I take care of his baby, and that is all," she said. Odinica laughed bitterly. "So now you're defending him? You managed to care for another man's child, but you can't give me my own?" Maybe if you spent less time playing mother to another man's son, you would finally be able to have children of your own, he retorted, leaving Anna shattered by such cruel words. His words pierced her heart like a dagger. I am doing this for us, Anna said, her voice quivering. I work hard every day to raise money for my surgery for the IVF that costs so much. Shut up, Odinica shouted angrily. I am your husband, and I will not have my wife running around another man's house like a shameless woman. You will quit that job immediately, and my decision is final. Anna looked at him in disbelief. Quit and do what? Sit here and wait for you to insult me every day like you used to? Odinica's expression darkened. If you don't leave that job, then get ready to leave my house. A silence fell between them as Anna swallowed hard, her mind racing. She had sacrificed so much, endured so much, and yet nothing was ever enough for him. She recalled Jimoa's kind words, the baby's innocent smile, and how fiercely she had fought to survive. However, she struggled with the fear of being homeless. She could not risk Odinica pushing her out at this time. She contemplated her options and opted to quit her job. It was a difficult choice, but she believed she could find a better opportunity. She visited her boss, Jimo, who urged her to stay. My son is already fond of you, he told Anna, whose heart felt heavy. He even went on to propose a 100% salary increase, which Anna couldn't dismiss. With the salary hike, she would be able to save enough money for her surgery in a short time. She couldn't pass up such an opportunity, even though she was aware of the potential consequences. She requested some time to think. A few minutes later, she came home to find a strange woman claiming to be pregnant by her husband, Odinica. Her noticeable belly was impossible to ignore. His pregnant mistress sat comfortably on a couch, rubbing her stomach with satisfaction while gazing at Anna. Odinica stood next to her, arms crossed. This is Rita, he announced coldly, revealing that she was carrying his child. Anna's breath caught in her throat as the room seemed to whirl momentarily. Your child? She whispered, struggling to comprehend what she was hearing. Yes, Odinica replied, his voice loud with arrogance. Since you have failed me as a wife, I found someone else willing to give me a child, a complete woman whose womb is not disease-ridden. Anna's hands quaked. She had endured years of his insults and cruelty, but this betrayal was something she had never anticipated. She turned to Rita, who now grinned at her suspiciously, as if she had triumphed in a twisted competition. How long? Anna asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Rita chuckled, placing a hand on her belly. 5 months. So, while she was tirelessly working to gather money for the surgery to provide him with a child, Odinica had already moved on. Anna faced her husband, searching for any trace of regret, yet what she saw was pride. So this is why you wanted me to quit my job? She asked bitterly as tears streamed down her cheeks. In that moment, Anna realized she had to secure her job. She called her boss in front of Odinica, who stormed out in fury upon seeing that she chose her job over him. Odinica threw her out of his house while his pregnant mistress watched. Anna had no other place to turn. She arrived at her boss's house with her suitcase and recounted the entire situation to him. Her boss provided her with a room in his home, assuring her of her safety. For the first time in years, Anna experienced a sense of relief. She had spent so long living in fear and humiliation, bending over backward to satisfy a man who never appreciated her. But now, standing in Jimoa's home, she realized that she deserved more. Jimo could see how shattered she was, and even though he was her boss, he empathized with her pain. He encouraged her to proceed with the fibroid surgery, promising to support her every step of the way. He even offered to lend her the money if she needed it. But Anna declined. She had walked her journey to avoid letting someone else bear her burdens. With her increased salary, she understood that she would be able to cover her surgery costs in a few months. So she worked diligently, caring for the child she had come to love and treasure. One afternoon, as she was making lunch in the kitchen, she received the call that her husband, Odinica, had gone to her family home to ask for the bride price he had paid to her father. Anna stood still, her hand gripping the phone tightly. She had envisioned this moment numerous times. The day Odinica would finally cast her aside completely. The day he would formally sever the last tie binding them. But she never imagined it would happen this soon or in this way. Her mother's voice on the other end of the phone was filled with muted rage. "He came here with that woman," she spat. "That shameless thing standing next to him with her swollen belly, acting as if she had achieved something remarkable. He tossed your bride price on the table and treated you like a commodity he was trying to return. Not anymore." She had already shed too many tears for Odinica. "I understand, Mama," she stated, her tone firm. "Let him go." Her mother hesitated. "Anna, you have the right to fight this. You are his wife." "I was his wife, Mama," she clarified. "He made his choice and I've made mine." After ending the call, Anna leaned against the counter, exhaling deeply. She was free, truly free. No more insults, no more humiliation, no more residing under a roof where she was merely a punching bag. Months went by, and the day of the operation finally arrived. Jimmo accompanied Anna to the hospital. He held her hand as the doctors wheeled her into surgery. Everything was proceeding smoothly in the theater until the doctors discovered that she was 9 months pregnant. The entire place erupted in shock. The doctors exchanged glances, disbelief evident on their faces. The ultrasound scan had indicated fibroids, but what they failed to recognize was that concealed within the growth was a fully developed baby. Anna, barely conscious, could hear the doctors' voices, urgency filling their words. "She's in labor," one of them said incredulously. The lead surgeon glanced at the screen again. "This isn't just fibroid. She's been carrying a child all along." The realization crashed over Anna like a wave, but before she could completely comprehend it, a sharp pain surged through her abdomen. Then everything went dark. When she regained consciousness a few hours later, the first thing she heard was the soft cries of a baby. She turned her head slightly and saw Jimmo sitting beside her, cradling a tiny baby in his arms. He called out to her, revealing that she was now a mother. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "A daughter!" Her voice trembled. Jimmo nodded, his eyes brimming with enthusiasm. "Yes, you carried her all this time and didn't even realize it. The fibroid hid your pregnancy," the doctor explained. "It's rare, but it happened." Anna could not contain her tears. After years of being called barren, facing insults, ridicule, and feeling discarded as though she were worthless, she had never known she had been carrying a child all along. A miracle baby who came to erase the shame from her face. He gently placed the baby in her arms, and the moment Anna gazed down at her daughter, everything else vanished. The pain, the suffering, the rejection, all of it. Her baby girl, with tiny fingers grasping hers, was proof that God had not abandoned her. Jimmo reached out and wiped a tear from her cheek. "You are stronger than you realize, Anna. You always have been," he told her as she held her baby close. In that moment, she understood that she had discovered something far more significant than what she had lost. Love, peace, and most importantly, herself. As she lay there, joyful and exhilarated, her husband, Odinica, was in another part of the hospital, weeping. The burden of the world seemed to crash down on him as he sat in the hospital corridor, his hands trembling as he hid his face. His cries were raw, yet no one came to comfort him. Rita, the woman he had flaunted as perfect, had lost their child. The very son he had mocked Anna for failing to give him. He was gone before he could even take his first breath. The nurses and doctors walked past him without a second glance. No one felt sympathy for him, as they had witnessed how poorly he treated his wife. The same woman he had ridiculed and forsaken was now cradling her miracle baby in another part of the hospital. News traveled quickly. The same people who had once whispered about Anna's supposed barrenness now spoke of her miracle baby. Odinica could hear the whispers. He could hardly believe that his wife, Anna, had given birth to a baby on the same day he lost his son. He recalled every insult he had ever hurled at her. The shame now belonged to him. Summoning the last remnant of his pride, Odinica compelled himself to stand. He needed to see his wife, to beg for forgiveness, to plead for his second chance. But when he arrived at her hospital room, he halted upon seeing Anna cradling her baby. Odinica observed how radiant she appeared and couldn't forgive himself for the hurt he had caused her. He sank to his knees and implored her for forgiveness. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but please, I was blind. I was a fool. I allowed my pride and desperation to drive me to do unspeakable things. If I could turn back time, I would treat you like the queen that you are." Anna looked down at Odinica, a man who had once shattered her spirit, a man who had deserted her when she needed him the most. "You seek my forgiveness, Odinica?" she responded, her voice steady and strong. "I forgave you the day you discarded me like trash. That day I decided that you would no longer determine my happiness, but forgiveness does not imply a second chance." Odinica's eyes widened in agony. "You went to my family to request my bride price. You humiliated me before everyone I hold dear," she declared, her voice trembling with pain. "The moment you did that, Odinica, our marriage ended." Odinica's shoulders drooped. His face contorted in anguish as Anna's words sunk in. He clearly saw that Anna had moved on. There was nothing left to say, nothing to fight for. He had wrecked his own home with his bare hands, and now he had to bear the consequences. Gradually, he got to his feet and cast one last glance at the baby as he walked away. Anna watched as he faded down the hospital corridor. His shoulders slumped in defeat, but she felt nothing for him. Not anger, not satisfaction, only peace. She looked up at her boss, Jimmo, who smiled warmly at her and asked if she was okay. Anna nodded in affirmation, and for the first time in years, she genuinely meant it. That was how Anna continued to work for Jimmo while caring for her daughter and his son. As time passed, Anna developed feelings for Jimmo. In her mind, she too had fallen hopelessly in love with him and chose to be with him. For the first time in her life, she felt loved the way she had always envisioned. Jimmo was patient, kind, and gentle with her. He didn't rush her, didn't demand anything of her, and was always there, supporting and encouraging her, making her feel valued. Initially, Anna hesitated, having just exited a painful and toxic marriage. The wounds from Odinica's cruelty were still fresh, but Jimmo was different. He never yelled at her, never belittled her, never made her question her worth. As time went by, she allowed herself to love again. Their bond intensified with each passing day, and their children, Chisholm and Obina, became inseparable. It was as if fate had scripted their love story long before they even realized it. That was how Anna found love again, as she ultimately married Jimmo and lived happily ever after. The lesson to be learned from this story is that life rewards us for our actions. We should be kind and patient, as what we give to others will invariably return to us. Always remember that your worth is not defined by others' opinions. We are all deserving of love and respect, regardless of our struggles. Life may present us with challenges, but perseverance will always lead us to breakthroughs. Often, life may not unfold as planned, but when the time is right, everything aligns perfectly. Thus, we should learn to trust the process, as today's struggles can become tomorrow's victories. I hope you enjoy this story.